I wanted to quickly mention that CNN is actually going to be hosting a climate town hall. So 10 Democratic presidential candidates will participate in the CNN climate town hall. That is going to be September 4th, and it's going to be talking about the climate crisis. So it will be interesting. A CNN poll conducted in late April showed that 96% of Democrats favored taking aggressive action to slow the effects of climate change. So if we're talking about aggressive action from what we just saw from Bernie, that's really what people want. So that will be interesting for sure. We will be covering that, not in person, but from afar. Okay, so this next story, as it takes forever to load, is going to give you flashbacks to 2016, where Bernie Sanders supporters were locked out of everything, like Hillary Clinton people, not talking about their other supporters, but talking about the DNC themselves, and just the establishment in general did everything they could to block Bernie and Bernie's supporters out of everything. So this story is going to give you flashbacks to that. Starting today, there's a DNC summer meeting. So this is an article out of NBC Bay Area, NBC affiliate Bay City News. Presidential candidates to appear at DNC summer meeting. More than a dozen U.S. Democratic presidential candidates will be in San Francisco starting on Thursday, that's today, for a 3-day Democratic National Convention summer meeting. Democratic presidential candidates for the 2020 election set to speak include Michael Bennet, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, Amy Klobuchar, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Seth Moulton, Tim Ryan, Julian Castro, Marianne Williamson, Andrew Yang, Tom Steyer, and Joe Sestak. Yeah, that's really... Oh, by the way, I was going to say that's all we need to know from this article, but it is important to note Joe Biden is not scheduled to appear at the meeting. So we wouldn't really expect Joe Biden to have to show up anywhere to actually campaign. Joe Biden, and we are actually, Jordan and I are keeping track of Joe Biden's campaign schedule because we get the press emails, and there are a heck of a lot of times where it will say Joe Biden meeting with his advisors. Instead of like actually doing some campaigning, his schedule is to just meet with his advisors. Whereas like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren are hosting all these rallies and doing all these things and, you know, like having campaign socials and like Elizabeth Warren had some huge rallies lately, a lot of people showing up for her. Bernie Sanders has been having rallies and like ice cream socials, and he just had like a baseball game. I don't know what that was about, but it was cute. But Joe Biden, no, he can't come to things, apparently. So what happened at this DNC summer meeting? Hopefully Twitter doesn't freeze up my computer again. So Sarah Stinson on Twitter reported DNC summer meeting ran out of credentials for guests and people were outraged. They are here from all over the country to fight for a climate change debate. Look at about 100 people storming the meeting anyways, pushing through. So just like we saw in 2016, the DNC doesn't want Bernie supporters at its meetings. The DNC doesn't want Bernie supporters or climate change people. Like, they don't want these rabble-rousers at their meetings. They don't want actual change. They just want to have their little establishment meetings, not ruffle any feathers. They want to keep the people who care about progressivism and care about other people and care about policy. They don't want them in. So this video is pretty interesting, where they are literally trying to keep these people out, but they are funneling through anyway.
All right. Okay. You got this, everybody. Don't try to find it. Come on, everybody. Yeah, everyone in? Everybody who is being in public who wants to be in? Don't touch me. If you're not going to, don't, ma'am, please. Thank you, everybody.
Richard! They won't let us in. They're attacking us and pushing us with their arms, shoving us.
Sunrise romance.
So I think that's pretty badass to be honest. Pretty awesome. You could see that guy, I assume he's some DNC establishment guy, trying to keep those people out. They're flooding in anyway. They have their climate change signs. They are not taking any guff. They are getting their voice. They're making sure their voices are heard. So I think that's pretty badass. And that's what has to be done. If people want real change in this country, then we need protest. We need people to ignore the rules and demand changes. And as we can see from 2016, we weren't having these climate change debates and town halls. We weren't talking about Medicare for all on the scale we are now. It was only Bernie Sanders and his rabble-rouser supporters who were pushing these things. And now, in order to be a Democratic candidate, like, you basically need to have Medicare for all. Well, aside from Joe Biden, who apparently can get away with anything, like, Bernie Sanders set the gold standard for everything. Bernie Sanders supporters in 2016 changed the game, and now we have these very active groups like Sunshine Movement and others that are protesting. They're demanding change, and that's one more example of that. I will quickly show you that, like, the DNC said, oh, we don't have any room, like, we're just out of room, so you guys can't come in. And as you saw, they came in anyway. That's not even true. They had plenty of room in there. Plenty of room. Yeah, here's the picture. The room is gigantic. It says capacity to fit over 2,000 people. And yeah, they only had 208 chairs. So room was not a true concern for the DNC there. They just didn't want the voices of the people. They didn't want climate change activists to be heard. They didn't want them to be present. That's what it comes down to.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.